and welcome to day 4 of Radio Week, brought to you by RedTech, courtesy of CGI today. And there's been a lot of excitement for this particular panel because it's about what everybody's talking about. No matter where you are in the world, it's not just broadcasting, but anywhere. It's all about artificial intelligence and how that's changing our world for now and how it'll continue to change our world for the next few decades. And there's two things that accompany it from an emotion perspective. There's fear and there's excitement. On the fear side, there's the worry that, will this replace my job? Am I going to become redundant? So that's a big issue for a lot of people. And then on the other side, the excitement is around people saying it's going to cut costs, it's going to improve efficiencies, but there's also other things it can do. It might even improve creativity. And that's why we were really excited when CGI and Michael Thielen said to us, well, we're going to show people that actually artificial intelligence isn't something to fear. It can enhance what humans can do, but the humans are still important in the creative process in particular. And so thanks for everybody, wherever you are in the world, for tuning in. I'm going to hand over to Michael now, but just to remind you that if you're tuning in on LinkedIn or whether you're on StreamYard, there's a comments button where you can ask questions throughout the panel. Don't feel you've got to hold your questions back. We really appreciate them because they force the experts, Fabian and Robert and Michael, to think differently because you might have ideas that Michael's not really asking about. So we really encourage you to comment, ask questions, do it throughout the show. We'll flash it on screen, and then one of the experts will take care of answering it. And feel free to do that all the time. Thank you, and it's over to you, Michael. Enjoy the panel.
Thank you. Thank you, Omar. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar where we'll be talking about interesting things happening in the new world of technology. And one thing everyone is talking about, as Omar already said, is AI. And AI is, well, the center buzzword, I think, in the last 2 years. And I'm very happy today that I've got 2 experts joining me talking about very interesting AI developments. The first one is Fabian Seipel. He's coming from a German company called AI Acoustics. I would say they're doing magical things with audio. And the second one is Robert Förster. He's coming from RadioWeek, which is also a German company. And he's doing radio to read, which is also very, very interesting. So starting our conversation, I will give you a little overview about what we are doing at CGI with our radio production and playout system called DIRA. Some of you might know it. It's a system where you create and handle all your assets you need for broadcasting. And within this system, we use AI for a long time already, especially for transcription, because I think this was the first step where AI really helped journalists, really helped broadcasters and publications to know what they have. Because before the time of AI, a lot of people had assets in their archives, in their systems. They had the typical things like title, author, maybe some keywords, maybe a transcript if it was in the archive. But, they never really knew what's inside there. And with AI and the rise of transcription, people were suddenly able to find more things, because one of the main benefits you get when you have the possibility to transcribe using standard AI, so you can have it from the big cloud vendors, you can have it locally on premise wherever you are. There are many models for many languages. When you use this, you suddenly have the possibility to search through your material and to get to know what you have and what you own. So, this is nowadays almost a commodity because everyone is doing it, and it massively helped people when searching for material, when searching for special things. But as I said, this is almost a commodity, so this is old times. There are more things you can really do, and I would first like to introduce Robert and let him talk a little bit about what they are doing, because they use AI to generate readable radio. But why? Where is it helping the people, and where is it helping the producers of this content? Robert.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us here on this show. Thank you very much for being here. And AI, I'm working in AI business for a long time, 10 years ago. So in the first area, no one knows about anything. So it was a little bit visionary to have an AI company. Now everybody knows a little bit more about AI and how they can fix the problem. They use ChatGPT and use prompting to do a lot of stuff. But AI is more. AI in media production is accessibility. It is content becomes visible in the text-based internet. It's multi-channel. You can add more information to your audio, to your text, to your video. And of course, it's a source protection. With AI, you have the possibility to search in a complete new way to your content, for your content, and wherever your content is. So as Micah said, it's on-premise or it's cloud-based. So we use AI to make it, first of all, visible, and in the second way, accessible for every usage it's possible.
That's great. That's great. So maybe to explain our viewers who might have not yet heard about your company, when we explain what you're doing, it's in principle, it is whatever is running on the radio station live can be read by people who are tuning in. And I think this is a great gain for accessibility, for example, if people have hearing problems. But I heard something about that. Even if I'm not capable of the language that the radio is broadcasting in, I'm still able to read?
Yeah, of course. So the base is transcription. You have to make your audio content visible in a text-based internet first with a transcription. You have the text. And every single word is time tagged. So it's not just a text, it's an ad text. So you can also transform it into different things. And one of these things is language. So we have the possibility to have a live transcription in the radio or for TV audio sources. And we can translate it up to 90 languages. So we use all the models in the cloud. We use several models. And of course, we are working in media industry. It has to be proven. It has to be correct. Mostly 95, 96%. This is the human language. This is one of the reasons radiotranscript.com or radio site is in this role, and we want to make for everybody. So the content has to be for everybody. So when I am in Germany, we also have a lot of customers, a lot of users speak in another language. It's Turkish, or it's Ukraine, it's Russian, it's Chinese, it's Vietnamese. So not everybody is able to understand the content of the German language and the high journalist speaking language. So we can transform it to every single language if needed. And of course, we can transform it to other parts of language. So in Germany, we have the highest journalist speak language. We also have a little bit more lower German-speaking language for disabled people, which cannot understand all the content as fast as possible. So we have the possibility to make it accessible for everyone.
Wow, that's amazing. And I imagine one key thing is when I see that journalists working, for example, with our systems, they typically transcribe the material they have in files, and then those files getting transcribed. But I think this is also another new possibility of knowing what you did when you transcribe your live program. You are not only transcribing it live, putting it on a website or somewhere, you can also collect this metadata and search it later on, so you know what you did and you can use it for research, isn't it?
Of course, it's we call it media monitoring. So we have different parts. So of course, you have the possibility to transcribe your content. You can also transcribe content of competitors, of another media companies or other industries, and you can summarize the content of many hours. So that you have the possibility to understand what's the other country, the news in France, the news in Saudi Arabia or in US is. So we have the possibility to have a whole world media overview.
Great. I think when we talk about transcription, it's always good if you have good audio quality, which can be transcribed. And when I started working at the radio station, very, very young, I still went to school at that day. We went out with tape recorders, cassette recorders, and sometimes the cassettes broke and had horrible quality. And I even see it nowadays that people come in with material that has horrible quality or not the quality which is needed. And I think this is also something which points to the creativity of the people, because they need to use the best material available, which sometimes, if you go out in the field, isn't there. And we've got Fabian Seipel here. He's the founder of AI Acoustics. And as I said in the introduction, Fabian, you're doing magic with audio, because I would say almost anything you put into your system, into your AI-based intelligence, comes out as if it would have been recorded in a studio.
Yeah, fair enough. Good transition also. So what we really try to achieve here at AI Acoustics is providing sort of a recording studio quality, no matter kind of the input. And it's also, this was, a bit back in the day, I think 3 years ago, when we started the company here in Berlin, out of that technical university. So my co-founders and my problem at that time was sort of that we had to record a lot of things at home. It was like the time of like COVID. We didn't have, maybe the best like material or devices at home. So we were just like recording in some room with not the perfect acoustics maybe going on. And we always thought to ourselves, this can't be the solution, because sometimes you, as you mentioned, Michael, you might not have the best acoustic surroundings. You might not have, an ideal recording situation or the perfect devices at hand. So I think that was one of the reasons why we started this. And now what we do is we develop a machine learning system. Machine learning is basically the math and the technology behind artificial intelligence. So we build really a machine learning system, the whole life cycle of solving this problem of speech quality, which has different elements. We do our data collection ourselves, basically. So we start really with, I would say, a data set that you always need in AI or machine learning with really high quality. So you can think of, a nicely produced recording studio and broadcast quality audio piece. That's something we collect here ourselves in our own office or together with universities. And then kind of in the second steps, we really simulate everything in a training kind of like setting, what you also do always in like machine learning and AI. So we simulate all the different audio problems and artifacts that can basically happen to an audio signal. We simulate, well, very obvious is background noise, but we simulate room resonances, reverb, clipping, distortion, codec artifacts, basically anything that can ever happen to an audio speech signal in the analog or digital way. And this is what our machine learning models see at training time as an input, but they also kind of know what is the target. So what was the original sound file when it was like, nicely sounding. And then this is how the machine learning model learns a transformation from like, audio that we have destroyed on purpose and how it should actually sound. And then once this sort of like training is done, we can basically use, this machine learning model for any other type of incoming audio. And we basically have two products for this. We have an API, which is file-based, and an SDK that runs in real time. And whatever you put in as an input file, and it can have all these different artifacts that you've mentioned, but we try to always recreate audio quality, or the perfect audio quality. And I think we have prepared a small video here in the webinar as well that I am able to show. So what you can hear or see and hear at the same time in a second is a before and after from different clips with different problems to showcase what our technology is capable of. All right, I'll play this from the beginning.
All right, guys, me and Kirsten are on our way. I'm ready to sleep. It's 1 p.m., but I got like 5 hours of sleep today. I'm gonna stay up well.
Die Week hier von dem neuen Teil von der Sportschule. Ich nehme an, für euch ist das sehr ein spezieller Moment gewesen, oder?
Ja, für mich ist es einfach sehr, sehr viele Emotionen.
This is no unsolvable problem if we face it wisely and courageously. It can be accomplished in part by direct recruiting by the government itself.
Okay, so this is the Victoria line heading towards Stockwell, and it's absolutely deafening. And here we are on the Northern line, and once again, it's really loud. I mean, I'm having to shout. Can you actually hear me?
I've been back about 8 to 10 weeks, and we've been working really hard. And what we're trying to do is not something really highfalutin. We're trying to get back to the basics.
Всем привет! Сегодня с вами Саша из Берлина. И в Берлине сегодня солнечная, прекрасная погода, поэтому я решила, все ходят красивые, поэтому я решила, что мы будем сегодня с вами обсуждать моду.
Yeah, I think that's a short overview of different clips. There was some background noise in there. There was some clipping, some distortion, some like reverb. What we're really trying to do is we're trying to find a solution for all of these problems, not just for background noise, what a lot of competitors do, but really convert any type of audio stream or file into what we call recording studio quality.
This is really impressive, and I have to admit, when I first heard of it, I thought, oh, this is rather impossible, or must be rather impossible. So I'm really blown away when I see this. And as we're talking about creativity and working with materials, I think this is a very, very great thing for people to have to enhance material, especially when you have quick turnarounds like in news productions, for example. But I learned from you that this can also be used live, because there are the first products which have this language model already integrated, so you can use it on mixing desks.
Yeah, so we have different products, like two main products, and I would say a showcase. So on our webpage, which is ai-acoustics.com, everyone can basically make him or herself a small account on the top right, and you can try out the technology by yourself. It's basically a drag and drop window with a file browser where you can just try out the technology. And please, don't hold back. Use your worst audio recording that you have and let us know if it works. We're very happy for any type of constructive feedback also where it doesn't work perfectly yet, so we know where to.
Oh, now he's gone. I hope he comes back quickly. So Robert, we will have to talk a little bit without Fabian. Maybe his internet connection broke. It's great to see what's possible today. Let's talk a bit about the process. I think one of the main fears of journalists is always that there comes this magic AI thing, and once it's there, people fear that the job might be going whatever. When we, for example, within our production suite, we always say we do want to implement into our products tools that really help the people who are using the tools. And I think not implement something just because it's technical possible. But for example, we already talked about reading the live radio, for example, for people who might have any difficulties in hearing, for example. What else could this new technology bring? Where could we use it otherwise? I think you're on mute.
I listened to Fabian, so that's why. Yeah, it's a good question. So the really important question is for media companies, the connection to the user. So on the one hand is, how can I provide my content as multi-channel as possible? So I want to provide on every platform. I want to provide in every transformed way my content. So this is the first way. The second is, and this is for me as and I come from radio station in program management, and for me is one of the important thing, the direction to the user. So we can, if we have the chance as a broadcaster to communicate as fast as possible with this one user who has a question, it will be perfect. So with the possibility of transcription, of AI and transcription, and the multiple possibilities to have search, vector search, full text search, event search, and we have the possibility to integrate a chatbot, so we can really communicate as live as possible with one user, so user-to-user interaction. And this enhances a lot of emotionality content, of emotionality in to the brand of the radio station. So what does it mean? It means that the user can ask via his device. It's a smartphone or it's a desktop, whatever. He can search for content. He can ask, like in ChatGPT, what's the biggest news in the morning? What was the biggest news in the morning? And in seconds, the search engine can give him, in the writing way of the host of the morning show, also in the voice, because of voice cloning technology, can provide the answer to the one user. And this is possible in parallel of 1,000 users or 10,000 users, because AI is so much faster. So this will be a great chance to have another experience and another chance for big broadcasters to have a connection to their users.
Yeah, that sounds great. Fabian is back, luckily. And I think we were just you were just in answering the question about that your codec can be running live on systems as well.
Yeah, correct. I think I was briefly explaining that everyone can just try this out on our webpage on the top right to the sign in. I think we've covered this already. But yeah, more interesting, I think, is our like B2B offerings, sort of like where we partner with broadcasters, media platforms. So we have an API where you can send an audio file and video file to, like programmatically, of course, and then this is being automatically enhanced and back. So what we do there, and that's an API where, you know, it's file-based, it's on demand, it's all the sort of like, you know, boring things about audio engineering would be sort of like, I would say, like the cleaning of the audio. It's not much of a creative work in there. It's more like the cleaning part that would be sort of accelerated. And if it's, and that's what you said earlier, Michael, if it's, for example, you know, a production that, or a recording that comes maybe from the field, from like a journalist, from like a porter, needs to be on air like 5 minutes later or 10 minutes later. So like a very quick production, maybe you don't have time to, like, you know, audio engineer through it. And I think this is where the value add from the API comes in. But now finally answering your question, our SDK, that's a software library that can be basically integrated into any type of audio stream, but also into any type of audio software or hardware product. So it's a software library, including our different types of models. They run in real time down to latencies of like 8 milliseconds. So it's actually real time. And it can help, you know, streams, it can help devices, it can applications, wherever there's a speech input or output, a speech audio input, that's not, you know, best quality or has some like intelligibility problems. This is where we can try to help as integration.
So I can have it basically within my mixing desk, and I can use it to clean up dirty telephone lines, for example, where someone is having a bad cable or a bad connection or whatever, and then I've got good audio out of it. That's interesting.
That's a good example.
That's great. So this is now the time where I would like to invite all of viewers again. So if you have any comments or questions, just raise them, because we want to keep this session as interactive as possible, and to not interact only with us, with the three of us, but also with you. So if you've got suggestions, questions, or anything you want to know or want to let us know, just drop your questions in the comment field, and we will try to answer everything. Because I think this is quite interesting. Another field when we talk about AI is the generative AI aspect of, for example, ChatGPT. When you generate and create something in CGI, you might have heard about it. We have a newsroom system which is called Open Media, and in there, typically the journalists do their redactional journalistic workflows. So they've got all the lines incoming, telling what's going on in the world, and then they are generating their stories, which later on will be transformed into audio or whatever, into text, into teleprompter text for television or whatever. What we did just recently is we've implemented ChatGPT and Whisper as well. So journalists now have the possibility to very, very easily and very quickly, when a message comes in, transform it into a message in the type of the show I'm working for. You all might know that, for example, working for a news production needs a different wording and a different sounding than, for example, working for a magazine show where we talk about all the bliss and the shows going on television. And here in Germany, we very often also have to generate something called lightly understandable text. So it's a way of the language which is better understandable for people who might not have best knowledge of this language. And this can be done very easily by one mouse click. And when we talk about this, we always, within our workflows, look that the person in front of the PC always has the right to decide what's going on there, because I think the human factor within all the AI workflows is quite important. We have a comment from Pedro Mendes, and he says, using AI to translate from language to language has so much potential, but localization is his concern. So there are aspects of language that are understood within context, but when it's translated, it doesn't make sense. That's right. Is there work being done in localization and not just translation? I think this question is towards Robert.
This is a really great question, because we also in Germany have a lot of dialects. We have a lot of a lot of special words for different contexts, and every single language has this in because of localization and regional aspects. So this is a real chance to build it up, to reinvent local dialects, to reinvent it. Only one week ago, I had a wonderful discussion with the Bavarian radio station, big radio station, public radio station. And alone in Bavaria, there are several 10 or 12 different under dialects. So the meaning of in the south of Bavaria is another in the north of Bavaria. So we can build own models with the local how can I tell, it's the traditional not clubs, so traditional Vereine. What is the real word? Micah, can you help me?
Yeah, I would say clubs.
Clubs, it's traditional clubs, which are very interested in their local dialect. So we can build a real machine learning dialect for them, and then you can really localize your content to this area, and this is for every local content a perfect way to not to leave this and have it less and more. It's quieter, and so we can raise it to another real strongness of local dialects.
One question which just comes into my mind when talking about localization, it's fairly easy with language because it's very logical to me that the German language, for example, uses a different kind of grammar than the English language or maybe the Icelandic language, which is completely different. Just out of interest, Fabian, when we are doing enhancement of audio material, does language matter?
Yes and no, I would say. So the models that we train, they basically don't understand what you're saying. So they look at a waveform, or more like the spectral representation, and they see sort of like, for example, in the spectrogram, which is a time frequency representation of an audio, they see sort of like, which overtones are missing, or what part of the frequency spectrum is actually, polluted by like noise, and they would take this out, or what, for example, if you have a very reverberary file, you can see that, it's kind of like smeared and blurred in the frequency domain. So it does work more on the signal quality, and it does work on the sort of like, I would say, signal attributes, but it works like reasonably well or very well across all languages. And so what is being said in the audio is not really important for our models. However, and here comes the more important part, is that we are training our models, though, on a variety of different languages, so they can actually work well across these languages. So we've seen, for example, in competitors, and especially when we train the models that are more reconstructive, and I'm explaining what this means in a second, that sometimes if there's let's say a Japanese word that's maybe like close to an English word, but in the training set that we feed into this model, the model hasn't seen, this Japanese type of word or anything, it would switch it to like an English word. And that's something we've seen in competitors, and I think this is not, what we intend to do, because then this is, it's what we call an audio hallucination. And that's not supposed to happen, especially in like broadcast, where, you have to trust the content very much. So we train our models, and even though they don't understand what's being said kind of like in the actual audio file, we need to train them on a huge variety of languages, but also like speaker types, timbre, melody, pitch, sort of like all the aspects and the whole range and spectrum what like voice audio or speech audio entails. So again, it doesn't understand what's being said, but it's still important that a lot of different, I would say, languages or possibilities of voice audio are entailed and integrated into the training set to have a nicely generating and non-discriminating model and technology at the end. So yes and no.
And just out of interest, we saw the demo video, and I think what's happening there, it's already very, very astonishing and great. Just imagining, let's say, 2 years in the future, I think at the moment we still need to have some kind of reasonably good material at the starting point, because I think you can't enhance everything. But do you think, are we now in a state where we say, oh, this is very good already? Or do you think within the next time frame it will dramatically improve again to give us even more functionality and features?
Yeah, so I think the one part of the answer beforehand was there is more what we call some more models that work in a way subtractively, and they remove information from the signal. And again, that could be background noise or like reverb, anything that's like, kind of like redundant or like too much information in the signal that needs to be carved out for better intelligibility. But there's also cases where our models need to work more in a reconstructive manner. So imagine you have an audio file with a very band limited microphone, or you're further away from the microphone and like some of the higher frequencies are missing, or it's downsampling, or like any type of where the audio waveform or spectrum in that sense, or spectrogram, is corrupted. And there our models work more, I would say, reconstructively. So they're basically in painting the information that are missing in the signal due to the learning process itself. So it's basically, sometimes, I use the comparison to video and to image, where, it's now possible to have an old black and white picture or movie, and then now we colorize it kind of. And this is what we already try now to do in our models, especially in the cloud models, and the one that you can see on our webpage. We've called it Lark, after a bird. But this type of technology then, recreating parts of the frequency spectrum, and this is actually the technology that can lead to like what we call recording studio quality. This type of quality in real time is sort of like what we're trying to achieve over the next like month. And I think that's another level of quality and then also intelligibility.
We have a question coming in from Bala. Great to see you, Bala. Hello. He asks, based on your experience, what strategies can be employed to integrate AI into radio production while maintaining authenticity and strong audience connection? I think this is a very, very good question. And I think there is no one size fits all answer to this, because whatever we're talking about, and you might experience when you're listening to the webcast that we think that these are great possibilities, because what the technique and the technology, it can help us to do so much things where in the past we didn't have time and money and not enough people for. But I think you're right. One thing why people listen to radio is the bond. It is a special bond between the listener and the radio presenter in the studio. And I think one strategy which should be obeyed from my point of view is to be bold and humble and well to keep the journalistic to be real and not to try to try to be something what you don't are. I think, Robert, you can tell a bit about what's possible and what's the audience connection from your point of view, because you were leading one of Germany's largest radio program for children and younger people.
Yeah, this is the biggest thing, to have the big bond between your audience and the radio station. I want to say only one sentence. AI is a tool, but you know your audience better than anyone else. So you can use AI to transform your content to different channels. You can be multi-channel. You can raise your audience. You can address your audience in new channels, in new platforms. You can address a new level. You can have your local radio station build up to an international radio station because your content is the best in the world. But you can now transform it into different languages. So the content is the key to the hearts of the audience.
That's right. Yeah. And I think all these tools we're talking about today, they are really great tools to help making better content, because I think I'm not telling any secret, and I'm not telling anything new if I say that I think all broadcasters, being it public or commercial broadcasters, currently face, well, the same challenges, because no one is giving them more money. So everyone is fighting to keep the budgets and get the budgets to keep everything running. And the likelihood that the budget is not high enough to keep the number of employees is there is a very high risk that this happens. And making use of this new technology enables you to do what you need to do in the changing media environment, which is simply generate more content for more outlets. I think it's also not a secret when we talked about radio production, let's say 10, 15 years ago. Well, you had your linear radio output, and pretty much that's it. I still remember when I worked at a commercial radio station, we were very proud of building our first internet streamed radio. And we were more proud when we realized that we had the massive number of 24 listeners at that time. So this has dramatically changed, and everyone nowadays is listening to radio on the Alexa device or on the smartphone, on the go. So wherever you go, you can have your content, you can have your radio with you. And I think the big differentiation between radio and simple music providers like Spotify or Apple Music or however they're named is that radio has something you can get in touch with, something which brings you through the day and which has this emotional bond. And I think this is really important.
So Michael, yeah. I want to help you a little bit, because I have also a little live demo. Hopefully the studio can go on. I want to showcase you. Hopefully it works. The possibility to listen to the BBC World Service. We only need the stream for this, and then the live transcription service. So hopefully it will. Hopefully Omar can go on. No. So I have to. Don't have. All right. So hopefully it works to have the. No, I can't share my screen, so I don't know why.
Okay.
Sorry. So everyone is invited to get in touch with me, maybe LinkedIn. So I can send you a demo. We have the possibility to give you all the audio and demo to see what this AI technology can do for you, and to internationalize maybe your program, your content. Sorry for this.
Talking or keeping a little bit or staying a little bit with on the creativity side. I think one thing that we learned is that when we use, for example, your service, we can transcribe radio as it's running. And we already said that metadata is stored, and you can feed the metadata back into the broadcasting systems, or you can keep it separately, and you can make it searchable. And I think this making it searchable is also a big part of the creative process, because sometimes you want to know, what did my colleagues do in the morning, or what did another, maybe a competitor, do last night. So I think you have also some nice workflows which can be used here.
Yeah. We also name it media monitoring. So it's the possibility to integrate a stream into our platform, and then we can monitor everything. So we can monitor the music the competitors are playing. We can monitor the content they are saying. And we can also monitor the advertisers are integrated in their program. So, and with AI, we have the possibility to give more information about the advertiser. So we can say where it's located, which is the telephone number. So for your sales department, it's also another add-on technology to reach more customers for your radio station. So your sales department will be hopefully very interested in this case. So on the one hand, you have the possibility to search for content on every competitor or your own content on your own streams, and on the other hand, you can have more informations about customers. You can have more informations about the music. You can add a lot of new things with this technology because it's now time tagged. So every content is time tagged, and that means you can add a lot of information. I want to give you only a little, hopefully, Michael, a little example. You have your audio, you can transcribe it. Then you have the subtitle. You can create with the content who is tagged, with the context, what is tagged. You can add a picture of the Chancellor of Germany. You can add a picture of US president, which is in the context, and then you can render it, and you can have an audio, text, and now also a transformed video for sharing it on social media with your content. It's just a few steps away.
And in the end, you, of course, can store it inside your content management systems you have, so it never goes away. And if you want to, you can put it in the archives. And if you find something which is in your archive, which is older than 35 or 40 years, it might not have the good quality, then you can use the products from Fabian to enhance it and to make it good again. Well, as we're slowly nearing 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I don't want to let the people go without some really pro tips. And having someone here who is a really pro in audio, my suggestion to journalists and to people wouldn't be to say, hey, do your audio as bad as possible and then just use AI acoustics. So what would be your tips for having good audio quality when doing a recording?
Yeah, sure. So I think, with most of the technology that we have now, a solid microphone, something like a handheld recorder, it always depends, if you're outside, I'm, for example, using in this webinar currently this, fairly, old microphone that's like attached to the headset. I think there's different possibilities how to be a bit more like attentive to the audio. We've actually made the observation that sort of like from the 100% of people that we have acquired for like listening tests, there's a very small amount of people that are really what we call expert listeners, and they are they're listening to an audio file or video, and they'd be like, this is they don't see the video, but they listen to it, and they can say, okay, this is maybe like a 2 x 4 meter large room. It doesn't have any reflections, and sometimes they even can tell you what the walls are painted, which color sort of. So they are sort of like experts in not just detecting if something goes wrong, but they can actually tell you what is wrong. Then there's a large chunk of people who are I would say not expert listeners, but they could always tell you, this podcast recording or this recording that's currently on air, it has some kind of problem, but I really don't know what it is. And there's a small fraction of people who just really don't care. So this is sort of like, I would say differentiation of different like listener habits kind of, but that was more like on the receiver side of it. So if you're on the sender side of things, I would say being close to the microphone, having a good microphone. Also, if you're outside, maybe don't record right next to the main streets. I think it's a lot of like just being a bit more attentive to the situation, and listen closely afterwards. And if for some reason something goes wrong, then we're happy to help.
One question which still comes into my mind is we talked about enhancing audio material, and we saw the impressive demos of what we can do to speech. I think one of the questions you will hear quite often, what about music? Is it a thing? Because I could think, for example, of old archive recording of very old tapes which have maybe have a really bad quality, have a low bandwidth. Is this something AI will also be able to help us?
It's kind of, so full disclosure, our technology mostly works for, I would say, what we call narrated speech, and that's how we've trained it. So if you would upload a rap music file, it would probably work nicely. If you would upload an opera file, it would probably be gone. And the reason is that narrated speech has a very different, I would say, a different pattern that you can see. I mean, not so much in the waveform, but again in the spectrogram. But if you have, an opera singer with like holding notes, or this is a very different type of audio event, or a different type of sort of like, I would say, audio that we produce with our vocal tract. So currently we're not supporting something more sung or something like more really vocal from a music piece, but it would work if with the same technology we just adapt our data set. However, currently we're very much focusing on the narrated speech. Technically it would be possible with a very similar technology. It very much depends on the training data that you input into the model. And currently what we do is we input a lot of like music as background noise, because that just happens very often. And this is why the model rather learns to detect music as a type of background noise and then removes it.
Wow, thank you. Well, we're going back once again to Robert, because he promised us to show a demo of what's possible with Radio Times. And he didn't just promise something, he can also show something. So over to you.
Yeah, hopefully it will work, and we can listen to it. So it's a showcase with the English. Currently now it's 1451. It's the current program of BBC World Service. Hopefully the internet connection is great enough to listen to it. So we have the possibility to listen it in English now. It's and then we have on the left side you can switch the language, and in live we can switch to Finnish, to Spanish, to Chinese, to we have now 15 languages in this demo, but we can integrate up to 90 languages from now on to your radio station. And so this again, if you want to have a demo, we can integrate your stream. Please get in touch with me, and we can provide you this information about AI in audio. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Robert. Well, unfortunately, it seems not to be working, but this is always when you demo something, it never works. So don't worry about it. I don't know if we have any further comments from the people watching the webinar. Otherwise, if there are no more comments, I would like to thank you very, very much for tuning in, for listening to what we have to say. Thank you very much to Robert Förster and Fabian for joining today. Thanks for RedTech for having us, for Omar. So if you're interested in more information, please just get in touch with either one of us. We are more than happy to answer any questions or tell you something about our products, about what we do and where we can help with enhancing what you do, helping you in your broadcast. If you want to know more interesting things about what's happening in the broadcast world, please don't miss out to go to the RedTech website, which is www.redtech.pro. And last but not least, please don't forget to tune in tomorrow, where we have day 5 of the Radio Week. And tomorrow's season will be about monetizing digital audio, which is also a very interesting topic. And I think you can listen and learn a lot about what's happening. So thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Michael Thielen from CGI, and I wish you a great afternoon. Thanks.
Sorry, guys.
Hello.